What is up, guys? Eric here from Real Film Reviews, bringing you another movie review, this time for the new Owen Wilson film, Cars 3. Cars 3 is directed by Brian Fee, stars Owen Wilson, Nathan Fillion, and Armie Hammer, and is the third installment of the Cars series. Now, this series has been one of Pixar's more odd choices. The first one was this really beloved kids movie that a lot of people also saw as a gimmick to sell toys. The second one is by far easily the worst Pixar film that's ever been made, and arguably one of the most trash animated movies I've ever seen. Most didn't think that we would get a third installment after how poorly the second one was received. However, we obviously did, and this third one goes back to the roots of the first. It tells the story of Lightning McQueen, the lead character voiced by Owen Wilson, who is now the veteran. In the first film, he was the rookie on the track, and now he's the veteran as new rookies are coming up, and the new rookie, Jackson Storm, played by Armie Hammer, is beating him in every race. So after he suffers a horrendous crash, he is forced to totally change the way he trains so that he can re-enter the race and try to continue his career and not be forced into retirement. Now, one of my favorite things about this film was actually the story. After seeing the second Cars movie, I was really worried about where they would take this series, but this movie was a really perfect bookend if they decide to not go forward. I think this movie is the sequel Cars 2 should have been. Cars 2 just shouldn't exist. This should just be the second movie. But it's really good, and it worked really well in telling a story that's relatable for kids and teaching them a lesson about not giving up, but it's also really relatable for anyone that's older than a kid, a teenager, or a full-on grown-up can watch this movie and get enjoyment out of the story that it's telling and the message that it has. Pixar obviously always makes their movies look great, so all of the animation looks phenomenal. It has all the clever stuff with the cars that they've used in previous films, and I really enjoyed all of that throughout the movie. There is actually some really cool effects with smoke and dust and mud in a lot of scenes that look really good and really shows off their skills as animators, and I thought that that was kind of surprising because as Pixar moves forward, every single movie they've ever made looks amazing, so you kind of think, can they make it any better? And then they do, and I think that this movie showcases some of those new skills that they've learned. And then along with that, this movie's story, as I said earlier, and I really enjoyed it, it's very heartwarming. It's a very nice story. Unlike the second one that definitely got off the rails, and the first one that had a good message, this one really makes you feel happy. It brings back that heartwarmingness that I think the first one had. Because I think a lot of Pixar movies have very sentimental value, and they make people smile, and they make them very happy, but I don't think all of them necessarily have that same like uplifting feeling, but I think the first Cars and I think now the third Cars both do have that. The movie's also fairly funny. I don't think it's as funny as the first movie, but it's a good time, and I had fun watching in the theater, and all of the other people in the theater, both adults and children alike, seemed to get a kick out of it. The problems with this film mostly stem from the amount of time it took for this movie to be made. The first Cars movie was made a long time ago, and then after the second, most people thought the series was done, but then they continued to move forward making this third film. And after seeing it, I did enjoy it, and I had a good time in the theater, but there's definitely repetitive jokes, and the idea of Cars felt a little stale, and although they did try and liven it up, it didn't really work as well as I think they would have hoped. The film introduces a ton of new characters, and rather than sort of integrate those new characters with the old characters that everyone knows and loves, they decided to just push the old characters to the side, and we don't really get to see them very much in the film. And that was really disappointing to me because the original Cars movie came out when I was still somewhat young, and I remember watching it and really enjoying all those characters and having fun, and then this one, it was very disappointing to see all of those characters get pushed to the side. It's similar to what they did in the second. When the second one had Mater as the main character, everyone was kind of like, what are you doing? Lightning McQueen is the character that the Cars movies are about, and instead of just putting Lightning McQueen to the side, they pushed all of the characters from previous films to the side, and this movie kind of did the same thing. They played a bigger role than they did in Cars 2, but a lot of the old characters that everyone loved didn't get as much screen time as I think many fans of the series would have liked. And then along with that, while I loved the narrative story that this movie told, I thought that the ending was a little bland, and it wasn't really that interesting. It was kind of something that everyone could see happening as you're watching the film and you see all the stuff that's taking place. it's kind of obvious where the story is going. And granted, for children it might not be, but as an adult, as I was watching it, I was kind of like, I know exactly where this is going to go and what's going to happen, which wasn't a major issue, but it just sort of upset me because unlike the first Cars movie that I thought had a very, very thought out and interesting ending, this one's felt a little more stale. I'm going to give Cars 3 a B. It's just a solid kids movie with a story that's relatable for both children and adults. If you're a fan of the first Cars movie but hated the second one like a lot of people did, go check this one out and give it a chance because it is definitely a warm welcome back to the world of Cars that the first one really ingrained in everyone and then the second one kind of ruined and put a bad taste in everyone's mouth. This one is a really solid installment, and if you like the first, you'll really enjoy it. Well guys, as always, I'm Eric. If you enjoyed this review, please do like, subscribe, comment down below what you thought of Cars 3, share everything we do here on Real Film Reviews, and I hope to see you guys later.